Channel is for entertainment purposes only, not to be taken as legal advice. Today marks the continuation of our new journey forward to our learning. Over the course of the last 4 months, we have covered thoroughly the final process of Patrick Devine. Now that we have established our standing as individual bankers, we now move into processes on how to discharge and get remedy from our very many things that we want to accomplish on our journey forward. It is important to note that while I am your guide in this course, I am not the originator of this information. The insights we will explore have been brought to light by many great gurus, including Patrick Devine. His tireless research and dedication led him to uncover a remedy for freeing oneself from the monetary system. After 9 years and over 5,560 documents, essays, and submissions to various governmental entities, Patrick Devine discovered the key to liberation in 2016. Then he disappeared and said, now it's up to you to set yourselves free. This live course with 100 students will cover the final process of Patrick Devine's great works, as well as information from others who helped him along the way. Let's begin. Okay, everybody, so we are getting into a new week. Last week, we were covering the subject of the W-8-BEN and how it applies to your business trusts or doing business with any of the of your employers. Now, in today's course, we're going to go over the next step of that, which kind of complements, which is your W-8-BEN and your foreign status, and what it means to be a non-resident alien. Non-resident alien. It's so important that you know your position when you're foreign. The non-resident alien position is one of the most important concepts that you need in your understanding when operating. Banks are going to ask you this question. Your mortgage contracts are going to ask you about your what type of resident you are. Your driver's license asks you what type of resident you are. From anywhere from doing applications for passports ask you what type of resident you are. I mean, that answer on what type of resident you are will show to the individuals that you're dealing with what jurisdiction that you're under. And it's very important to make the distinction correctly about what status that you're domiciled under. So we will go over that extensively today. In other news, Creditor Academy updates overall. First of all, things are going phenomenally with our business trust course. A lot of you have already gotten a jump on the business trust. And just this last week, we had 7 new companies get started and are requesting international employees from our recruiting and staffing network. We're expanding even beyond attorneys. We're also doing human resource administrators. We're doing salespeople. Somebody was just like, hey, Paul Michael, besides an attorney, do you have someone with a doctorate in business administration? I want someone to take my entire business and come up with the strategies and run the day-to-day. And also, I need an operational manager. So when it comes to the international recruiting and staffing arena, I mean, we're really stretching our wings to apply to all businesses. And the reason why the business trust is so important is because you need a good understanding of how to operate in the private first before you start getting into your private banking operations. I remember the first time I heard about this truth movement, I was just like, hey, I want to start discharging. Hey, I want to start doing these administrative processes. Hey, I want to discharge my house. I've never operated in the private beforehand. And when I got into this and I was getting to making deals with the Treasury Department, the State Department, and sending notices, all this out and receiving frivolous filings and all that, trust me, it's a place you don't want to be in. And it's frustrating. And it feels like you're taking 10 steps back and 1 step forward. And what we're trying to do is I'm trying to say, hey, get a handle of how to run your business in the private and your day-to-day, and protect your assets. Many of you are getting to this step of running a private bank, and you haven't even secured your assets into different trusts yet, which is putting you at a disadvantage, because if you stop making payments or you fail these discharging for each one of these different cars, house, boat, whatever, and the house of cards starts falling, guess what? It's still all attached to you, the debtor. And anything that falls within the debtor and anything that's connected to the debtor, everything collapses together. So it's good to separate those entities. So we're going to begin with a document here in just a moment. But those are the main Creditor Academy updates. HR is doing amazing. We just added 4 new individuals to our attorneys in the international recruiting and staffing. I'm super excited about that because it's everything about the vision. And the vision is for Creditor Academy is to focus more on 2 aspects, is getting yourself organized, meaning have your business trust, hire a professional attorney, have your documentation and your vision for what you want your future already set into place. And then the second thing in this industry that I've even learned coming into the YouTube space is this isn't so much about what you can learn. It's so much about what connections that you have. And you know what? When I first got into business, that's what my father told me. It was just like, you know, you can know a lot about a lot of things, but if you don't have the right connections of individuals to help push you to that next level and to get you into touch with the right people, you're not going to get as far as you would want to be. See, these connections are not just from my advisors, who are previously gurus themselves in this space, who have years and years of experience of discharging and doing administrative processes and so on, but you are the connection. You are coming in with your own expertise. I've met people in IT companies and real estate, and you're all business moguls in different areas. And really, it's the expansion of doing business with you, utilizing these private processes to where us as a group are going to be unstoppable. And that's kind of my whole vision to this, is if I want to really expand myself, I can't do it on my own. Even if I studied in my dungeon, in my back room, with a book after book after book, it's all meaningless if I have no one to share the knowledge with and to connect with a similar vision. So I'm asking those
you signed it there.
See the vision that we are bringing about here in Creditor Academy, and I'm asking those to share your vision with us. People book consultations with me, which you can do at paulmichael@creditoracademy.com. And you can go ahead and book a consultation. And I want to hear about what your vision is so we can create a business plan to get you to where you want to be. And this tailored approach is going to be much better received, except for instead of going down the path of what we see on YouTube right now, or at least I have seen in my frustration, is this another YouTube channel with another templates, with another process, and I apply that exact YouTube video that I watched from another guru, and I did their exact template and their exact process line by line, and then I go and submit it, and then I get a frivolous filing. What the heck? What? Why is that? How come I did exactly what someone else did? We need something tailored, guys, because every single person's situation is different. Your state's different, your contracts are different, and so on and so forth. So I'm trying to create a business plan with you with the right connections, so then we can catapult your business and your private processes to the next level and stop the guessing games. I mean, that's the frustrating part about this movement, is sitting there hours and hours reading another stupid book, asking 100 questions for things we don't understand. And we have a full-time job, 9 to 5. I have my wife and kids I got to take care of, and I want to have a personal life. And somehow within those 3 things, I got to have a law degree to even do these private processes. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. And I can see why The advisors, which I made really good connections with, who were previously gurus, they were like, Paul Michael, this takes a decade or more. It's just so much work. And I said, I know. And I was like, how can we help people then? He's like, if people can get organized and we can get them connected to the right individuals, and if we know what your vision is, man, we could do anything, because now we get in the right track. So many times I have consultations and people just say, I want to discharge. I want to discharge. And I said, okay, but what's your vision? I want to discharge. And I just said, all right, we can go down that road. I mean, you know, and then maybe a couple weeks go by and they finally get their remedy, or a couple months goes by and they finally get their remedy. And you know what happens? Almost guaranteed, I've heard this 5 times now. We get their situation figured out, you know, we create a plan, and then they execute it on their own and they get their remedy. And guess what they come back to me and say? They say, well, okay, that was discharged, Paul Michael, but that didn't make me rich. Where's my money? Okay, I discharged $500,000. Who cares? How come I don't have money in my bank account? Where do you spend your time? Where do you spend your time? You know, I hear some people that are way more grateful when they discharge 500K than some of these people, but it's because they don't have vision. If you don't have vision, you'll never have appreciation for where you're going, because you don't have a vision of where you can see yourself ending up. And so you just have this emptiness about you, that you're always searching for something, but you don't know what it is. Truly, I tell you, it is not the knowledge that you can acquire in this truth movement. It is the vision that's going to get you your remedy, because by your vision is where you're going to have a clear direction to go. And once someone has a clear direction that they're going to go, that's going to give them the most amount of satisfaction. So without further ado, I'm going to get into today's lesson. I love this organization. I've worked for them for a number of years, and I'm using one of their material, you know, so I'm kind of, you know, I like using smart people's material. So let's go into this. Let me share my screen. Okay. Here we are. I don't know how many people have seen this great movie called The Mask with Jim Carrey. Anybody see that movie? Yeah, anybody? No? It's a good dress outfit. But this, yeah, there we go. Yeah, a number of you, right? Yeah. Yeah, super good, funny time, you know. I know, it was a super good movie. Exactly. And this is all about the non-resident alien position. And this particular document was put together by an organization called SEDM, which is Sovereignty, Education, Defense, and Ministry. I really like their essays and their documents. You know, they do a really good job of explaining things and putting references to it. And this is such an important topic to know about what your status is as a resident in society. And I am telling you, I have used this book and this platform for a lot of things. And so I'm here to share with you, with the permission of SEDM, as long as I give them credit for this document, about it. There's a quote: "There is nothing so powerful as truth, and often nothing so strange, foreign, or alien." Daniel Webster. So we're going to cover some of the sections in here. The first section we're going to cover inside of this is, what are the 3 definitions of the United States? So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to share my screen on a different. And share it here. I kind of got things organized in a certain way. Okay. There we go. So this is page 43 that I just pointed out, the 3 definitions of the United States. And I'm just going to read through this before we go into each of their subset categories, okay? Most of us are completely unaware that the term United States has several distinct and separate legal meanings, and that it is up to us to know and understand these differences, to use them appropriately, and to clarify exactly which one we mean. Whenever we sign any government or financial form, including your voter registration or tax documents, etc., if we do not, we could unknowingly, unwillingly, and involuntarily be creating a false presumptions that cause us to surrender our constitutional rights and our sovereignty. It is so true, guys. The fact is, most of us have unwittingly been doing just that for most, if not all, of our lives. Much of this misunderstanding and legal ignorance has been deliberately manufactured by our corrupted government in the public school system. It is in fact that our public servants want docile sheep who are easy to govern, not high-maintenance sovereigns capable of critical and independent thinking and who demand their rights. We have become so casual in our use of the term United States that it is no longer understood, even within the legal profession, that there are actually 3 different legal meanings to the term. In fact, the legal profession has contributed to this confusion over this term by removing its definitions from all legal dictionaries currently in print that we have looked at. And for details on the scam, you can go to their link there. Most of us have grown up thinking the term United States indicates and includes all 50 states of the Union. This is true in the context of the U.S. Constitution, but is not true in all contexts. As you will see, this is the 3rd meaning assigned to the term United States by the United States Supreme Court. But usually when we, Joe Sixpack, use the term United States, we actually think we are saying the United States, as we are generally thinking of several states or the union of states. As you will learn in this section, the meaning of the term depends entirely on the context and when we are filling out federal forms or speaking with the federal government. This is very costly and false presumption. First, it should be noted that the term United States is a noun. In fact, it is a proper name and title we, the people, gave to the corporate entity, non-living thing of the federal central government created by the Constitution. This in turn describes where the United States federal corporation referenced in 28 U.S.C. was to be housed as the seat of government in the District of Columbia, not to exceed a 10-mile square. Now, we're going to read this part of the Constitution, which is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles squared, as many by secession of particular states, and the acceptance of Congress becomes the seat of government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislator of the states, in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. Below is how the United States Supreme Court addressed the question of meaning of the term United States, according to Black Law's Dictionary, in the famous case of Hooven and Allison Co. versus Evatt. The court ruled that the term United States has 3 uses. And here is that. The term United States may be used in any one of several senses. It may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns in the family of nations. It may designate the territory over which the sovereignty of the United States extends, or it may be the collective name of the states which are united by and under the Constitution. Okay, that was a lot to be said. There were three things that were outlined in that Supreme Court case. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at an Excel spreadsheet to kind of break down these three sections. And it's important to note which one of the United States that you're under. Again, you're going to be doing tax forms under this jurisdiction. You're going to be writing United States on. There are so many IRS forms that have the term United States on it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to show you how to discern what they mean by United States. Okay? So here is the breakdown of the above definitions in its three contexts and show what each means. Let's start with number one. Number one is the category of U.S. Supreme Court definition of United States and Hooven. Number one is, it may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns in the family of nations. The context is within international law, and it's referred to in this article as the United States. Here's the interpretation, okay? These United States, when traveling abroad, you come under the jurisdiction of the president through his agent in the U.S. State Department, where U.S. refers to the sovereign society. You are a citizen of the United States, like someone is a citizen of France or England. We identify this version of the United States with a single asterisk after its name, United States, single asterisk, throughout this article. Okay? Number two, so we got United States with one asterisk right here. That's that title, okay? Now, number two, it may be designate the territory over which the sovereignty of the United States extends, or, and this is under federal law and federal forms. And what does this say? This is a United States with two asterisks. And what is the interpretation of United States with two asterisks? United States, the District of Columbia, possessions and territories. Here, Congress has exclusive legislative jurisdiction in this sense. The term United States is a singular noun. You are a person residing in the District of Columbia, one of its territories or federal areas, enclaves, or like I like to say, enslaves. Hence, even a person living in the one of the sovereign states could still be a member of the federal area and therefore a citizen of the United States. This is the definition used in most acts of Congress and federal statutes. We identify this version of United States with two asterisks after its name, United States 2. Throughout this article, this definition is also synonymous with the United States Corporation that was found in 28 USC 3002-15A. Wow. So the federal, meaning the District of Columbia, the 10 square miles, is the United States with two asterisks, okay? Now, let's go to the last one. As the collective name for the states which are united by and under the what? Constitution. This, in the context, is under the Constitution of the United States, and this United States is by three asterisks. And the interpretation means this: the several states, which is the United States of America, referring to the 50 sovereign states, which are united under the Constitution of the United States of America. The federal areas within these states are not included in this definition because the Congress does not have the exclusive legislative authority over any of the 50 sovereign states within the Union of States. Rights are retained by the states in the 9th and 10th Amendments, and you are a citizen of these United States. This is the definition used in the Constitution for the United States of America. We identify this version of the United States with a 3 asterisks after its name throughout this article. Now let's bring it all together. The U.S. Supreme Court helped to clarify which of the 3 definitions above is the one used in the U.S. Constitution when it is held the following. Note they are implying the 3rd definition above and not the other 2. The Supreme Court writes, the earliest case is that of Hepburn versus Elsie, in which this court held that under that clause of the Constitution limiting the jurisdiction of courts of the United States to controversies between citizens of different states, a citizen of the District of Columbia could not maintain any action in the Circuit Court of the U.S. It was argued that the word state in that connection was used simply to denote a distinct political society, but said the Chief Justice, as the act of Congress, obviously used the word state in reference to that term as used in the Constitution. It becomes necessary to inquire whether Columbia is a state in the sense of that instrument. The result of that examination is a conviction that the members of the American Confederacy only are the state contemplated in the Constitution, and excludes from the term the significance attached to its bywriters on the law of nations. This case was followed by Barney versus Baltimore, and quite recently in Ho versus J. Mason. The same rule was applied to citizens of territories in New Orleans versus Winter, Wheat, in which an attempt was made to distinguish a territory from the District of Columbia, but it was said that neither of them is a state in the sense in which that term is used in the Constitution. Okay. And then it goes on to further clarify and further clarify and further clarify and further clarify. Okay. It is important that when you are doing IRS forms, when you're going to banks, when you're doing correspondences with other governmental entities, that you make the distinction of what part of the United States that you're a part of, okay? Because when your taxes are coming due to you, you know, as Patrick Devine would say, is he's tax exempt because he is foreign. He's an Article 4. He's under the 11th and 12th Amendment, or the 10th and 12th Amendments that we just read. And this is why he put it inside of his non-UCC. This is why he provided an affidavit of his W-8 BEN. Now, the question now becomes, you know, how do we make that distinction or the differences? Because under these IRS documents, it's under penalty or perjury that you are claiming what jurisdiction that you're under. And you kind of guys got to fill out their forms. You know, you got to say, hey, I got to do this. And this is, I need to make that distinction. So I'm going to show you another document. And I've used this many of times on how I do my status, okay? and this is with my business trusts, but also for myself. I use this document right here. Simplifies it, okay? And what does that say? That says withholding form attachment for citizenship and non-resident alien status, okay? A state citizen versus a statutory U.S. citizen. What is the difference for tax purposes and why does it matter? Okay, so here's the executive summary. Here's the definition of a non-resident non-person. Okay, let's read that for really quickly. A definition of non-resident non-person is a person that's not domiciled on the federal territory and not representing a corporate or governmental office that is so domiciled under the federal rule of Civil Procedure 17. Number two, they're not engaged in public office within any government. This includes the civil office of person, individual, citizen, or resident. Number three, they're not purposely or consensually availing themselves of commerce with any government. Therefore, they do not waive their sovereign immunity under the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act. And number four, the obligation and rights in relations to governments. This waives any and all privileges and immunities of the civil status and all rights or entitlements to the received benefits or civil services from any government. It is the maxim of law that real de jure governments must give you the right to not receive or be eligible to receive benefits of any kind. The de jure is what Patrick Devine was talking about in the public Treasury Department. That's the de jure Treasury. That's the Republic Treasury on where we gather our credits from. We're operating in the de jure government, meaning the Republic form of the government. Then there's other definitions that go on from there. Now, on this is also, let me go back to the top. So let's see. One. Okay, so here we go. So here's the kind of a visual reference of non-residents versus the inhabitants, okay? So one is the inhabitants are on the federal territory. I mean, inhabitants to me really just means you're an employee. And a non-resident is just really means that you're independent. You're domiciled within the states of the Union of a foreign country without the United States. Now, remember, United States, they're saying with two asterisks here, you know, so that's the District of Columbia, United States, without, okay? So the non-resident alien, this is the law that it falls under, 26 USC, non-resident, non-person. This is what Patrick Devine outlined, okay? This gives him the status of what? A foreign national. This is why people update their passports. You know, they do that whole passport process. We'll cover that at a later time. But that gives you the status of a foreign national, okay? This, the opposite of a foreign national, is a statutory resident, aliens, okay? And that's under this subsection, which is talking about what? It's talking about aliens in general, born in foreign countries, okay? These, same thing, there's naturalization and what? Expatriation. Remember on your non-UCC, Patrick Devine quoted the Expatriation Act under expatriating himself from the 10 square miles of the Washington, D.C. And that's why he quoted that. And then he's a domestic national versus a statutory natural citizen, which is a 2-star here, also 2-star there. There is a distinction, but a domestic national under the Constitution is a citizen of the United States at birth under the 14th Amendment. And this one, a domestic national of the United States under the statutory, is under the 8 U.S.C. 1408, which has to do with U.S. in possession. The U.S. in possession is the 10 square miles of D.C. They have possession over you because you're a United States 2 asterisk citizen. Okay, so now how do we make this all make sense? How do we, okay, Paul Michael, you're really putting it in front of me. You're telling me that it's important with these 3 distinctions. Now, how do I go ahead and communicate to these individuals about my status? Well, that goes into good, more graphs, more graphs. That goes into another document. Give me one moment. Oh, one moment. And let's go here. I have a feeling this is just going to be the same one. Yeah. No. Okay. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Sorry about that. I just had a smaller version that was just the Cliff Notes. Now I got it. Okay. Here we go. This is what I use on my documents itself. So let's say I am, for example, going to fill out an IRS form. Okay. And when I'm going to fill out an IRS form, I want to make clear what, you can't change that IRS form, right? I mean, I know individuals that go in and they try to correct some of the language inside of there, but a lot of people, when they correct the language that's on the form, it nullifies it, so, or they send it back, or they say frivolous filing or something like that. When you're filling out any IRS form, any single one, I don't care what it is, whether it's a 1099, a W-9, or W-8, whatever it is, every single IRS tax form assumes that you are a statutory citizen, okay? So every single tax form that I fill out, whether it's a Form 56, whether it's an SS4 form or anything like that, I put an affidavit of citizenship, domicile, and tax status along with it, okay? So this is also provided by SEDM as well. I love kind of using their forms. They make it simple. But here it is. Here's the actual document itself. This is withholding and reporting certificate, okay? And it goes through the sections. This is a status summary, which is not domiciled on federal territory and not representing a corporate or governmental office that is so domiciled under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 17, okay? So you have to fill this out. You have to put in your name, your mailing address, your city, your zip code, your phone number, the state, the country, your email address, and your date of birth and your place of birth. Then it's going to ask you a checkbox question, okay? here under citizenship and domicile. Okay. But so the first one on citizenship, this is this category. I would check this box. I am a constitutional but not statutory citizen. Then I would not select this box because this is statutory but not constitutional citizen. That's obviously not me. And then I'm not a statutory U.S. national. I'm also not a foreign national of another country. I'm here in the United States. I do not have dual nationality. I do not have dual nationality. And this I'm not a part of either because I'm not free of inhabitants under the Articles of Confederation, but not constitutional citizen under the citizen of the United States. So there's that section. I am number 1. So I always check that box. Now let's go over domicile, okay? So now we're going to go over each one. Non-federal areas within the de jure state of the Union. Now, non-federal areas. So this would be like Washington State, not part of the state defined. And this is where I would kind of put in that state that I'm not domiciled under the foreign jurisdiction. Also, this one works as well. I'm part of the kingdom of heaven on earth, and a religious objection to having an earthly domicile within the existing man-made government. You can have religious exemption, absolutely. And then these other check boxes are also applicable, not within any government on earth. I choose not to politically associate with any group or government on earth. That could be checked as well. Diplomatic status, you can say I'm an employee or agent of God's government on earth. So again, you're using your religious exemption. And then I go through this, my federal franchises, okay? So see this is Internal Revenue Code, Subtitle A, Trade or Business Franchise or XA, also called income tax. So am I a private recipient or am I a government recipient of this form? Okay, so it applies to either one. For most of these, I am going to check no, the no box, because I don't federally elect or appoint a public officer. I'm not a employee as defined under this. I'm not my state-issued driver's license, a corporate not de jure statement. So I'm not this, so it covers all of the bases of your domicile, because this is how they try to capture you, is by all of these state-issued contracts. And that's what Patrick Devine was talking about. These contracts put you inside of their jurisdiction. That's why he's trying to liquidate the bonds to put those contracts back into the private. Then it goes on. I won't go too much into detail. I'm just kind of skimming through this. Now this goes into the full description. So the government receiving this affidavit knows every law, rule, code, and guidelines and bylaws and constitutional references by which you are exclaiming your status under this affidavit. And it's using religious connotations. It's using law references. And then it goes into this, Section 2, an affidavit of tax status. This states a human being, but not statutory person, who signed this form hereby affirms under penalty of perjury from without the statutory United States per 28 USC 1746. So this, what does it say? The submitter has no tax liability or gross income, okay? The submitter is not a statutory taxpayer. I'm telling you, if your status is wrong on where you're domiciled, you are then a taxpayer. A taxpayer is only within the 10 square miles of DC. As a taxpayer, you are a federal employee of the for-profit United States. Okay? And it goes on. You can read that later. Goes on, goes on, goes on. Mandatory franchise agreement. So now you're getting an agreement with them. And this is where we went over last time, the W-8-B-E-N. Well, I go ahead and I fill out my W-8-B-E-N form. And it's mandatory or optional. You know, it is optional. But I always put a W-8-B-E-N. It takes me no time at all to fill it out. And I put it with this affidavit and any other tax forms that I'm submitting as well. Then there's a signature, my signature of the submitter and the date. And then this is where I get it notarized. And as soon as I get it notarized once, I use the same document forever. For every time I'm going to submit a new IRS form, now I just take this and I'm like, cool, let's go ahead and attach it to this. I'm saying my stat. So now I have it on record. Now I have a copy of all these. I have the dates that I've sent it out to. I keep it organized inside of my folders in my cabinet in the back. And now when someone's saying to me for my business or for personally, when the IRS comes, they'd be like, hey, you owe us taxes. I now have clear evidence under my affidavit with a thorough enough of references of my status with the IRS to show that I am not a taxpayer and I am actually a non-resident alien under the Constitution. Okay. And that's it. This also could go with an employer. And it also gives the description. And you know what else this form does is if you scroll down enough, see this, it gives the definitions of the United States, and all of that for the IRS to see. So it's very thorough. But I believe, and it even gives all the different territories that you're under. But I believe at the very end, yeah, it gives a visual reference. I thought there was going to be some questions that it asks if anybody disagrees, but no, this is pretty much it. But yeah, this is where I submit, and this is how I get out of my tax statuses with so many other government authorities. So I hope that was educational, and I was covering, you know, I'm going through my step-by-step of what I've done personally. You know, what have I researched? A lot of individuals, you know, I've been asked, Paul Michael, I know that you came in to Patrick Devine's teachings and you read, you know, all of his final process and you were able to, you know, teach on it. But this is not where I got my original education, was through Patrick Devine. I've gone through a series of organizations that had structured learning. This is one of them. And these are the processes that I applied. And really what it is it's getting my foundation in order. I'm able to say, hey, I need to correct my status. I need to make sure that I'm operating in the private and that I'm communicating the correct language with all of these entities. And this is really where I got my foundation. You know, I said, okay, what is domicile all about? What does it mean to be a non-resident alien? What's the importance of this W-8 form? How do I do an administrative process? But even bigger question is, how do I organize all this paperwork as well? As you're going to see, this road has many different avenues to take, and your education and learning can take you many different directions. So that's why the vision is so important for you to know where you're going so you can apply processes in your learning that align with the vision and your path to success. That is it for tax domicile, but I'm going to take questions on this subject specifically. Let's start with Tracy Edwards. Let's go to you. Tracy.
Yes. Hi, Paul Michael.
Hey there.
I don't know why my hand is raised. I did not raise my hand. I don't even have a question, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Great to see you. No worries. P.A. Finn, let's go to you.
Sorry, I got to be fancy, don't I? Hey, okay, so you mentioned that you cannot, are you hearing me okay? You cannot be receive benefits. Feedback. Oh, yeah. can't be receiving benefits from the government, and also you cannot hold public office.
Right, right. Not receiving benefits from the government or holding public office. You're separating yourself as a federal employee, and federal employees get benefits from the federal government. You see why they want to contract with you for Social Security?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the other thing, well, like for instance, there was a ever since 2020, a lot of patriots have been trying to become committee members of the Republican Party so we could take over the party. But that's actually an elected position, and now that jeopardizes this whole process.
Well, I mean, Article 4 is a form of public government, but it's only in the de jure, and it's actually in the private United States under the Constitution. So you are in a form of government, but you're not a form of federal government.
Yeah, that's the federal. Yeah, okay.
Federal, exactly.
Okay. So the other question is not being under any property of the government. Now I'm wondering, you know how they have they've taken the allodial title away from people, and now in reality, if you kind of dig into it, they can say, oh well, that land you're living on is actually property of the government, and so that's, you got to get that allodial title, or is that not the case?
Well, you know, no corporation has authority to claim anything that is for the people. They might, and that's why they have to do this contracts with the mortgage companies for these banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and so on, to get you to contract within their jurisdiction. You see, you're right. The allodial title to the land, or the land patent, is under the Constitution. But that's not what these banks are selling to you, right? They're not selling you the absolute title, because then they would be cut out of the deal. So what they do is they have a corporate claim over the land, and then you do with their corporate transaction for to be a tenant inside of that property. You never actually own it. And what I mean by you actually never own it, just to be clear, is that you pay the mortgage off. Maybe it's $100,000. Okay, the mortgage is there, but you're still paying the property taxes on it, right? Because it's federally owned. So you owe the IRS those taxes to it. And now, again, right, what we just saw with this tax status, you are letting them know with the allodial title that you have absolute ownership over it, that you own that allodial title and the land patent. It's in the private within the Constitution, and you yourself are a non-resident alien with the ownership of that allodial title. And now all of that is housed in what? A trust, a land patent trust, a common law, unincorporated business trust, if you want to call it that. That's why I have a business trust course, where it's under the constitutional common law outside of their jurisdiction. So now you got three things. You got something holding the land privately. You got the land itself, which is private. We have you and your status, it's private. Shoot, now you got to just do a UCC 1, you know, to have a priority lien over it. And now just take a silver surety bond that's in the private that you created and have that offset the debt through a promissory note. Now everything's in the private.
That's a great summary. May I just also add, as you're saying that, it occurs to me, there are a lot of people out there saying, oh yeah, an allodial title doesn't mean you don't pay taxes. And they're not lying, because the allodial title by itself doesn't do anything. You got to have all those other components all together.
You got to have all those other components, because who is the entity that owns the land patent? It's got to be a form of entity. So that's why people, when they have that allodial title, guess who owns it 9 times out of 10? It's the debtor. It's the straw man. It's the slave.
Yeah.
And so as long as the government has a connection to you, the slave, inside of their what? Inside of their statutory domicile, now within the 10 square miles of DC, now they can grab your stuff. That's why the entity that holds the land patent is actually a trust, a business trust. And that's what keeps the separate, because the business trust operates under the Constitution and the common law.
Excellent. There's a guy next door to me, and I check on the tax records, and they're not listed on the tax records. Now, because I'm involved with politics in the local town, I know the tax collector really well, and I asked him, I said, how come this guy, he's not on the register? You can't find anything. He goes, oh, he must have had this property a long time. And I'm like, well, even still, you know? So, yeah. So look, I can tell you right now, there's a guy next door that does not pay taxes. So somewhere along the line, there's got to be a remedy for that. Thank you.
Knock on his door, be like, hey, dude, you got a land patent? I want one.
Well, I don't think I know him that well, but thank you.
Yeah, you can. Knock on that door. If he's 85 or something like that, like, hey, before you go. 85 is really young. Let's not get that twisted. Okay. Elle, let's go to you.
Hey, Paul Michael, I just wanted to ask a quick question. Where do you get this form from that you were talking about just now?
From the organization I named, which is SEDM, Sovereignty, Education, Defense, and Ministry.
Sovereign, what is it?
Education or Ministry, it's SEDM. Yeah, SEDM. Type that in, and you'll find it.
Okay. Sovereign, Education,
Ministry and Defense.
Ministry and Defense. Okay.
Defense and Ministry, excuse me. Whichever one. No worries. Yeah, I worked with their organization for quite some time. Yeah, that's some great stuff. As I'm going to show all of you, you know, I've grabbed information from different, but you'll see how I put these puzzle pieces together. You know, just like Patrick Devine and putting the puzzle pieces, I take bits from other places and do the same, because I'm very adamant about operating exclusively in the private. Let's go now to Amy Faye. Amy Faye.
Hey, Paul Michael. I'm 70 and I'm living on Social Security and a pension from a labor union. Does that mean, since I'm receiving the Social Security benefits, that I cannot separate myself entirely with this form or our entire process?
Yeah, you can still put yourself within the non-resident domicile. Let's go over that section. Okay, so the submitter has no tax liability or gross income. And number two is the submitter is not a statutory taxpayer, as Devine, and then where did I read that next section?
Yeah, what's right for me?
Yeah, what's right for you is declare your status and you be in there and let the chips fall where they may. Because here's the deal: the Social Security is pennies, and what they're taking in taxes is insane. I actually okay, here we go. Domicile taxable. Okay, you may not lawfully withhold any amount from my earnings. The remainder of this section provides legally admissible evidence proving why this is. Your withholdings is only on wages as legally defined. The earnings non-resident, non-person, not engaged in a trade or business. That's what it is you're not involved with a trade or business as legally defined and are excluded from wages. Wages and therefore may not lawfully become subject of tax withholdings. If you withhold, you will therefore be guilty of the following. Yeah, so you are exclaiming that you are not involved with the trade or business. That's the main thing, because it's wages that exclaims to them that you're a federal employee. And by making that separation under 26 USC 3401, you're saying that, hey, I'm not now subject to tax withholdings and I can keep my taxes.
And does that apply to the Social Security? Will they'll keep taking taxes out of that?
I've never done that before.
Okay, there'll be another experiment. Okay.
Another fun thing to read. I know that in that document in non-resident alien position, it does go more over in detail about that, maybe somewhere, but I just can't recall for myself.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Tap in worldwide. Let's go to you. And Johnny Gonzalez, let's go to you.
Oh, no. I took
Oh,
my
wait a
hand
minute.
down,
Wait
but
a
I
minute.
meant,
Oh,
meant to take the mic off.
All right,
Captain, you gotta have
let's
to
go
hold
Tap.
up.
Yeah, all right, let's go to Tap real quick, and I'll get
All
to
right,
you
Go
next.
so
ahead.
all right, so the first thing isn't the people in place of federal, right?
The people are placed in federal? Yes, under their definition of
When you
United States.
when you're speaking of federal, we the people are is federal, right?
We the people is part of the constitutional republic. We're in a
Yeah,
republic
because
form of government, not a federal for-profit corporation under the 10 square
well,
miles of DC.
I was saying that because Patrick always said just replace federal with we the people.
Yep, exactly. So true. Because that brings you back to the republic under Article 4. And I'm like, hey, I have unlimited credit.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm in the de jour, so I keep moving forward from there.
Okay, and then my uncle was telling me about the warranty deed. If you go sign your warranty deed, you can't sell your house for more than $10, but they can't take it.
What? They can't sell more than $10?
If you go in and sign the warranty deed to your property, because you're the only one on there, right? So you take the warranty deed and sign it, and then your warranty deed makes your house unsellable for more than $10. But you don't want to sell anything; you want to own everything anyway, like that, right?
Yeah,
Loyal.
Yeah, pretty much. Unless you're, kind of
So
giving
if
it
you
to your
sign the
heirs.
warranty deed, you get to keep the place. They can't like take the place from you, but you can't sell it for more than $10.
Got you. You can't sell it more. I haven't heard about can't sell it more than $10, but I do know that the warranty was
that's what it's worth. Like the contract in there, the deed is only worth $10.
amazing. So, okay. I'm not too sure about that one, so I can't really comment on it.
Alrighty.
But warranty deed for everybody is a warranty deed is the legal document used in real estate transactions to transfer ownership of a property from the seller. And who is the seller? The seller is always the grantor. To who? The buyer, who is the grantee. And this deed provides the highest level of protection to the buyer because it guarantees that the seller holds clear title to the property, free of any liens or encumbrances, and they have the right to sell it. So that's my high level of it. I haven't heard the $10. I heard they have the right to sell it. So that's interesting to hear that. I'm learning stuff all the time and taking in information. But yeah, warranty deed, though, does offer the most amount of protection because the grantor is guaranteeing the property title against all claims. And even though those arose before the grantor acquired the property. So that's the power of it. Because how many people are having liens and claims against a property beforehand? Now that's the warranty deed goes against all those previous claims. Because now what do? We perfected the title. And once you perfect the title, I mean, you have the real estate transaction is going to give you the assurance that the property is being transferred with clear title. So there's that. All right, let's go to Johnny. Did I just call you Johnny? Sorry.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, what's up, Paul Michael? How are you,
What's
bro?
up? Yeah, doing
Cool.
good.
So yesterday I received my third EIN, got the foreign granted trust, called Philadelphia, took care of that. And just
Cool.
for an FYI, they said that the address, you know how you stated and Patrick had stated that the mailing address could be substituted for the foreign address. She was very keen on telling me 3 times that the mailing was going to go to the foreign address. It was no longer going to be going to the care of address. So I just wanted just to relate that to the group. And
Interesting.
then this morning, I awake to the Emancipation Proclamation video by Patrick Devine, which I was wondering, because you brought up earlier before the class had started that you were going to possibly be touching on that.
Yeah.
Because it kind of has some contradictions, and I wanted to see if you could clarify it, or maybe this was earlier in his years and things changed, or I just wanted a little bit more clarity. So I was just wondering when that course was going to be, or was that going to be on a different day?
Yeah, I mean, high level, the Emancipation Proclamation is under the U.S. Foreign Monetary Fraudulent Assignment, known as the slave ownership of persons. So what he was doing is he was freely releasing all of his U.S. monetary bank fraudulent assignment slaves. Who were those slaves? Those were the wards of the corporate religious United States, which was the individual banker EIN, the foreign grantor trust, and the estate EIN. And also, he kind of had some, I think he also had the his Roman Catholic EIN and all of that. But basically, the language of what Patrick Devine was explaining with those EIN persons is that when he did his transfer by deed and all of the credits, he then took ownership over those EINs himself. And he said, these are my incorporated indentured servants that he did through the IRS. After he did his slave ownership under the Emancipation Proclamation, then he was able to own those IRS slaves and then utilize the credits that were transferred over to them. This is why, whether you watch my channel, whether you watch, what's that other guy? Robert at Robots channel, and you watch, what's the other one? Christina's other channel. We all talk about the 3 EINs and how important they are and how they're applied. It's just that the language in the final process is important on making sure that you're adding the right references in your non-UCC. So in the non-UCC, in that filer reference data, we got 2 different E's. The first E is what? The Expatriation Act, which we just went over inside this W-8 or the non-resident alien, we're expatriated from the federal for-profit government. The Emancipation Proclamation is all about having the ownership over these surety debtor slave accounts that we created through the IRS. And that's why I incorporated this language into the final process. There's another thing as well, as far as the final process, which is in later files, which he goes over the habeas corpus. The habeas corpus. Anybody heard about the habeas corpus? No?
Yeah.
Okay, you've heard it.
Yeah.
So what's up?
Produce the body. Bring forth
What is
the
it?
habeas corpus means
For the body. Yeah.
body.
Yeah, exactly. It's used to challenge the legality of a person's detention or imprisonment, right? So the purpose is used to, who is being loud?
That's Tracy.
Bush.
Sorry.
Okay. So the habeas corpus, oh my God, I'm going to start kicking people out. Okay. The habeas corpus goes ahead. The purpose of it is used to protect an individual's freedom from unlawful imprisonment and allows a person who is detained to be brought before a court to determine whether their detention is lawful. Patrick Devine did a habeas corpus over all of his debtor slaves. And he is the one that was relaying judgment on all of them. And his judgment was to liquidate and go ahead and do a legal action. And he says, hey, these are my debtors in possession, and I'm going to bring apart a legal claim against them, which is really a legal claim against himself in order to get redemption. And he used Article 1, Section 9 under the United States legal system of the habeas corpus in order to liquidate those bonds under those debtor slaves. So you got the Emancipation Proclamation, which is saying, hey, you're my slaves. I own you. You might be an IRS entity that is created, but I have control over you. And then he has his habeas corpus, which he does the liquidation through as well at a later claim. However, Thomas Beaumont, his right-hand person, went back to the final process and said, hey, we tried this later process stuff, and this is still the foundational things of the final process. And we just added the language in the non-UCC of the Emancipation Proclamation. Amazing.
Yeah, thanks for touching on that. That clears things up pretty well.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I get it, because I heard that recording as well. He's like, the EINs, oh my God, they're from the IRS. I don't know that, but no, it's all good. You're gonna see Patrick Devine do what he's always done, kind of, say maybe this was right, maybe that was wrong, whatever. But he solidifies in his final process. But thank you for that question. Glad to clarify it. Kenneth Owens, let's go to you.
Hey, how you doing, Paul?
Doing
I was
good.
just listening to Tapin, and he was saying something about the $10 you sign, like they can't sell your house with the warranty deed for $10, but that wasn't the process. You have to acknowledge the title. So once you because it's only the grantor and the grantee, and you never take ownership of that warranty deed. So you have to acknowledge that title and record that back with the recorder of deeds, and you would get a new deed number. So then the bank only had marketable title, and you have true ownership of that title.
Yep.
And also, that's what I'm doing now is I'm working on my land title. I already acknowledged my deed, and now I'm working on I done a chain of title, and now I just have to send all the package in to get my land title. But the good thing is I got remedy off of my mortgage.
Nice,
So,
man. I know, isn't that
so,
just such a battle, dude? You know what? Because I'm on the same page as you, Kenneth. I know what you're talking about. For the people that are hearing about this process that you're explaining, because I've been right down that same road, dude. And when I first got that discharge, I was like, super cool. But how much work did you put into that?
you know what? I started the process over 7 months ago,
Yeah,
and I sent all the information to the IRS, and
yeah.
I actually forgot that I had sent those forms, and then I got me a check to completely pay off the whole house. So I just got
Yeah,
that couple
I
weeks
know
a
what you
couple
mean,
weeks
man.
ago.
Yeah,
So
and then
so
while you're waiting for that, you're like, wait, so I have 7 other processes I did on the house in the meantime.
but the one thing since I have done that and I got the check,
Right.
and I'm gonna pay I'm gonna pay it off, but I also was trying the form 30, the 1414, the 1416, the
Yeah,
1418,
right.
and I'm waiting for like and I sent the 3949
Yeah,
A and
right.
a 211. So I'm waiting to hear back from them before I actually pay the house off. I want to see what else I could do.
Well,
But
I can tell you what to do, Kenneth. I know exactly where you're going, Di. And if I can save you some time, I can give you some shortcut. You got a great mastery on that. Send me an email on my personal, which is paulmichael@creditoracademy.com. And that's
mhm.
where everybody can book a consultation with me as well. But, just send it there. I'll meet with you. And dude, you're right on the right path, because I know what you mean. You get that check because you can just deposit it,
Well,
And
I have I opened up an estate account at the
right.
and I did this deposit it in there, and
Mhm.
I'm just trying. I'm trying the other remedy, but then that's going to be
Yeah,
the
because now you
last
got it.
price.
Now you don't
Yeah.
like, I'm like, wait, I could use this to pay, but hold on, maybe I could discharge it doing this, and then I get to keep this reimbursement.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had to, and I'm gonna send you the check to prove that, hey, that's like the remedy worked.
I did the same thing, and you know what? I kept the check.
That's what I'm hoping, but I just want to make sure that everything is paid
No,
off.
I got you, man. You just let's just do another process to that. I can show you a number of ways to do it. I'll meet you with the advisors and all that. And yeah, dude, it ain't no big deal. Like it's really simple.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha.
Awesome.
Look forward to that, and we'll go from there. Yeah, guys. I mean, things take some time, and you know, it's you get your remedy as long as you come in the right capacity and all that. And it does take some time from there. And to all those people that are watching us on YouTube right now, I just want to call out and a message to all of our viewers, just to say it's so much effort to do these processes. Just like Patrick Devine explained it in his final process, you're running your own private bank. There are so many different positions of a private bank, and all those different positions have different responsibilities. And learning all of those different responsibilities and how they correspond with one another is why it took Patrick Devine 9 years of relentless studying and process and procedure and execution and success and failure to get where he is then. This is why it is much better just to become organized and connect with people that already know what they're doing. You know, there are many more individuals like Kenneth and myself and my advisors that we already know what direction that you need to go in to get your remedy. It's just that we want you to be prepared and serious about going all the way in. And going all the way into us is you're going to dedicate 160 hours a month into these processes, doing nothing else. No full-time job, no family time, nothing like that. And the second requirement is I need you to already have a law degree kind of mindset, like already have a PhD in law. Now that sounds really overwhelming when you first hear it like that. And also the amount of time commitment, even if you had that education level, is already stressful enough on top of that. This is why our organization is taking a different direction. We're doing international recruiting and staffing for attorneys that are abroad. And here's the amazing thing about them is they are experts in the common law because their country operates off of the common law. They also know the UCC like the back of their hand. And most importantly, if you get a constitutional attorney, they're experts at researching and knowing the constitutional rights of each different country and I know how to operate. This falls in lockstep of what we're trying to accomplish. A person has a great education in law and has the time and availability to work exclusively to you for 160 hours a month with an advisor on executing your processes and organizing you as well. Also, they are cost effective. The average international attorney with an 8-year degree is around $350 a month where we're sourcing them from. And they're very loyal and they're hardworking. And many of you have already received them from us. They also have every attorney has three great aspects about their profession. One is research. They are relentless researchers. I remember watching Boston Legal with Denny Crane, and who was played by William Shatner in that show. And he just had Crane, Poole, and Schmidt was the name of his law firm. And he had these rooms, I remember, that were just filled with law books and Black Laws Dictionary and different laws of different states. It was just a full library. You would just see paralegals and attorneys researching all of these different case law for the benefit of their clients. So research is very important. Secondly, they're great at policy and procedure. having an order by which they execute your processes. They write it down, they make sure that they're thorough about it, and they make it so that another attorney can read it and execute it themselves. And that's what we need. We not only need to execute these transactions and apply it, but we also need to be able to say, hey, how do we go back to that and reduplicate that? And then finally, the third thing, which honestly I think is one of the most important, is the research, policy, and procedure. Contracts. They're great. They're amazing at contracting. And this whole entire movement is about contract law and the ability to contract unlimited. When you get your access as a secured party to your credits, you know, it's not what you think it is. It's not your credits are inside of a bank account and then you just go to the ATM and you're like, ha, gotcha, as much as I want. It's not like that. What it means is that you have the unlimited ability to use negotiable instruments with this new status through contracts. So now you can utilize that for your benefit in two areas, in your private life and for your business. And let me tell you, if there is anything that I have applied private processes the most to, it is not my private life, it is my business life. I have been able to skyrocket against competition because you have this esoteric knowledge. You know, as the Rockefellers said, own nothing and control everything is the future of the monetary system. And it is so true. It absolutely is true. We saw proof of that even in politics with Donald Trump in his latest case, right? Remember what he did in his latest case in court? He submitted his non-UCC. I don't know if you've seen Donald Trump's non-UCC over the courts and how he was able to put a lien on the whole court case and skate right out of that. I will show that non-UCC this coming Thursday, and I will go through it thoroughly and explain what it meant. That was an amazing document and gives a lot of credibility to the movement that we're in as well. So anyways, getting organized in this truth movement and building connections is your most vital thing that you can do for the success of your private life and your business. I look forward to seeing you all on YouTube this coming Thursday, while we will cover the next part of these private processes and how to get closer and setting yourself up to operating fully in the private. Until next time, take care of yourselves and your families. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, and we're stopped streaming. Okay, now we're in the private. Israel of Yah.